How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another Emerald City Hockey post-game live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall, where you can join me, Dylan, and a sweaty RJ.
Hi, everybody. I had a beer league game that I had to play, so thank you, Dylan, for kind of holding it down and watching the middle of that Kraken game. I'll let everybody know one know from the start. I caught the first period before my game started, and I caught the last 5 minutes of the third. So I didn't miss a goal. I'll say that much. So, but maybe you can help fill me in on the rest of it.
Honestly, you did not miss much. Just in that section, like you saw the stuff that was worth seeing in this game, that's for sure. But yeah, it was a really interesting game. Lots of interesting stuff, I think, to talk about in this one, especially compared to some of the conversations that we had earlier today on the deep dive and answering a lot of the community's questions. So definitely looking forward to it. I was just trying to pull up the burger of the month. Do
Yes,
you remember what it's called, RJ?
it's called the Big Smack.
That is right. It's 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions. Their riff on the Big Mac there. It's even got the third bun in the middle,
Yep.
just like
But
the Big
legally
Mac,
distinct.
but legally distinct. Yes, exactly. So that is the burger of the month right now over at Queen Anne Beer Hall. If you're all interested, you can go over there and and check it out. I know from just in the past, basically whenever there's a good burger of the month, the whole community goes, they check it out, and everybody loves it.
Yeah, definitely. Man, I could go for one right now,
I bet.
especially right now.
I bet that would be pretty good right now. You're at OVA, right? So there is a Dick's nearby. You
Oh,
could go
that's
grab
true.
something
Yes.
there, but it would not hit the same as the burger of the month at Queen Anne Beer Hall. That's for sure. All right, starting us off, we got some super chats here stacked up. So let's start with those. First one from Light: the Kraken have officially won the same number of games as last season. A very good 60 minutes, but man, I was really rooting for a loss. Lol. Yeah, I saw it. Where was it? I think it was George. Yeah, I think it was George who said it. Where did it go over here? Yeah, Priest about to show up and read the last rites to Team Tank. Team Tank definitely taking some L's here, RJ, with these Kraken W's.
Yeah, this game especially, given where the standings are at and how close it is in that 72 to now 74 point range. I mean, this was kind of an RPG directly aimed at the tank that hit it dead on. And I think
Yeah.
this is really probably the end of the Kraken's chances at getting, certainly a top four lottery odds, but it might be a good deal lower than that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too, because we talked earlier about and it was Wayne Dusky who sent in the stat of the Kraken versus playoff teams versus the Kraken against non-playoff teams this year, and just how wide the variance between the numbers was for when the Kraken are playing playoff teams, and their ability to not really score against playoff teams there, and especially their ability to give up a lot of goals against playoff teams. And yet here they are grinding out a 2-1 victory that looked a lot like a playoff game in a lot of ways, and the Kraken come out on top, and they did it, RJ, like kind of doing what I talked about earlier, which was, they got to the net. You look at the goal from Matty Beniers, it's very much them just, dogpiling into the crease. I mean, Matty Beniers is there, Ellie Tolvanen's there. It's bouncing around off of those guys. They're just trying to swat it home. They get the equalizer there. You pick up the 4-on-4 snipe from Brandon Montour, which is a great play there. But then they made adjustments in the defensive zone. They started to play some more man-to-man in the defensive zone. They weren't really letting the LA Kings have a lot of space there. And so there wasn't too much for this Kings team to exploit. And I know the Kings aren't necessarily looking to go out there and win every game like 5-4. That's not necessarily their style. But outside of Quentin Byfield just kind of manhandling Shane Wright to score that goal at the beginning, they just didn't have a whole lot to going for them.
No, they didn't. And the Kings, I think, are one of those teams that they do want to win games 2-1, 3-2, as you talked about. I mean, um, Darcy Kemper had that streak, right? Or still has that streak, I guess, of allowing 2 or fewer goals in like 14 straight games. And
Yeah.
that kind of shows you how the Kings have been winning games. And they don't have as much firepower offensively as some of these other teams. If you want to beat them, you're probably going to have to grind out a win like this. And really, we talked about on the podcast too, manufacturing goals. And that you mentioned that as one of the big differences between playing against playoff teams and non-playoff teams, where against, say, the Sharks or the Canucks, the way they're playing right now, you don't have to do a whole lot to manufacture goals. They will give you chances, and if you can take advantage of them, you're going to get your goals. the Kraken had to manufacture a goal in this one, and I think that one ended up being the difference. That one by Matty Beniers is just getting two guys, three guys right to the front of the net. Sometimes that can make a difference in a low-scoring game like this.
It definitely can, and yeah, I mean, there's other stuff to talk about. The Kraken killing off a very long 5-on-3. I'm sure we'll get to that in a little bit, but I do want to move on to the next super chat. This one from Zoe. Appreciate all these super chats, by the way, everybody. This is the first time the Kraken have won 3 games in a row since November. So Kraken have really started to find their stride here late in the season, RJ. Really, it just feels like post-trade deadline, right? Like we've talked about it before already, but it just feels like a different group and a different team we're watching.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Zoe, because that's something I've been monitoring for a while, wondering if they would have a 3-game win streak at any point this season after November. And they do put it together here, and they did have to beat a playoff team as part of that 3-game streak. It wasn't just the schedule giving them 3 easy teams. And so, they are finding their stride a little bit here. I have some worries about, maybe some conclusions that people are going to draw based on that, in the front office. I think you want to, thank you. Appreciate it. Oh man, I left my wallet and stuff in the goodie bag for the team. My buddy Martin, my teammate Martin, has it taken care of here. Shout out Martin. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh man, where was I going?
W's in chat for Martin.
Yes. Everybody thank Martin in the chat. I completely lost my train of thought. Help me out, Dylan.
That you're worried that the front office is maybe going to take this as a sign that everything is good, and they're not maybe going to have to put in as much work as you think they do.
Yeah, I guess that's my one concern. I was going to bring it back around positive, but now I don't remember the positive point I was going to make. The positive point is thank you, Martin. You're a real one. So.
Yeah. The positive point is that, look, things are kind of working for them, and you're seeing foundation, right, that you can build off of, that there is something here, and that if you get this group of players, or at least some of this group of players, to play a certain way, they can have a success against good teams. You can have Matty Beniers, of all people, dive bombing the crease and getting in there and getting a goal, right, in a greasy fashion, in a way that, honestly, until you see it, you probably don't think he's capable of doing. And so I think that there is still positives there. Whether or not the front office takes it and maybe goes too far with it is a different story. But I do think that the message here is, post-trade deadline, we are seeing like room for hope and some foundational habits and ways of playing that hopefully this team can build on over the offseason, and then they can be more competitive against the better teams in the league next year.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I will say, I'm convinced by this game. There's no, qualifiers really. You played a good team and you beat a good team.
Yeah, and you beat a really good goaltender.
And you beat them playing their own style too.
That's the big thing. And the next super chat is from Kraken fan. That was just fun hockey to watch. And I called it kind of like a playoff game earlier. And it maybe didn't have some of the nastiness that a playoff game would have, but it did have the sequences where both teams are getting tired and they're exhausted, and systems are falling apart, and it's back and forth, and you get like 2 breakaway opportunities from Eli Tolvanen and he's not able to bury those, or you have a 2-on-1 for the Kings that Joey stops and then immediately turns into a 2-on-1 for the Kraken going the other way, and Kemper's able to stop that. And you had those kind of wild swings that you do see in playoff style hockey. And then you also had the other elements of, you look at the 2 goals that are scored 5-on-5, and they are both guys in the crease, grinding it out, out physicaling the other team. And that's playoff hockey.
Yeah, it is. Teams, especially like LA, they're going to be playing actual playoff hockey in a couple of weeks. They're getting ready for it, and they're getting ready to play.
Right. And the Kraken were able to match that. And so I agree with you, Kraken fan. It was just a fun hockey game to watch. Like, this is good hockey to watch. B with the next super chat. How about that PK and Joey coming up huge all game? There were definitely sequences where, just like all season, RJ, Joey Decord stepped up huge, made some saves where you're just like, wow, a goalie's really not supposed to save that, but Joey was able to save that. So it is not all sunshine and rainbows, but it does feel like Joey, just having those like couple starts from Philip Grubauer mixed in, is able to kind of like play this way consistently.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this stuff from Joey Decord all season, and it's kind of clear. It feels like early on in games when it's just going to be one of those games where the other team's going to have to do something miraculous to beat him. And Quentin Byfield did do something miraculous to beat him early on in this one, but Joey was just going to shut the door the rest of the way. And I mean, the way he's played in all 3 of these wins for the Kraken has just been incredible. He's playing at the top of his game again as the season's about to come to an end, and so I, it's tough for Team Tank. But man, it's hard to beat the Kraken when they're playing okay in front of him and Joey's doing this. I mean, that's one of those things where you said if you look at for next season, it's possible to beat a lot of teams in a lot of different ways when your goaltender is playing this good.
Yeah, no, it is definitely true. And then with the PK, like I said it earlier, you had a minute 51, 5-on-3 for the Los Angeles Kings. They've already scored in the game. They're up 1-0. This is an opportunity where things can really kind of go off the rails for you if you're the Seattle Kraken. Kings can build a ton of momentum. It can turn into a game that honestly, probably a lot of outsiders would look at and say, yeah, that's what should be happening for a team that's looking to maybe win their division versus a team like Seattle that's been eliminated for like a week. But the Kraken stepped up huge on that 5-on-3. Obviously Joey makes the saves that he needs to make, RJ, but also the skaters out there did such a phenomenal job of taking away the passing lanes that the Kings were obviously looking for, keeping the Kings to the outside with their shots, but not letting guys get in front of Joey and take away his sight lines.
Yeah, all they were really able to do was to feed the one-timers way out wide, and that's not a very good angle. Joey can take that all away, and taking away the passing lanes was huge, along with some big shot blocks. Brandon Montour, the big one at the end. But my favorite part of that PK was the poke check from Joey Daccord. Puck circling around behind the net, and he just has the presence of mind to reach that stick out, knock it loose, and help get a big clear. I mean, they say it's the old cliche, right? Your goalie has to be your best penalty killer. Usually they mean by making saves, but in that case, I mean, that poke check was awesome.
Yeah, active stick too. He's got it. Yeah, it was just a phenomenal penalty kill. Love the shakeup too that they've kind of been going with, especially in a situation like this where you have two defensemen in the box. So like you're short on defensemen. Chandler Stevenson and Ellie Tolvanen out there with Jamie Alexiak getting it done. That's
two forwards and a D. It's unusual.
It's not a look that you normally see, but Dan unafraid to do it, and it worked beautifully. So definitely credit to them on that one as well. Wisconsin Kraken fan with the next super chat. Again, appreciate all of the super chats, everybody. Really, really do. What was your favorite moment from the Kraken's play tonight? You obviously didn't get to see as much of the game, so I want to let you go first here.
I mean, I just mentioned the Joey poke check, and honestly, that was probably my favorite moment of this one. But I'll let you go. What was your favorite?
I mean, for me, we've kind of already talked about it. It's probably the Matty Beniers goal, but because we've already talked about it and broken it down, like I like that because it's one where you do have Jamie Alexiak, going further into the offensive zone. He's got time and space. He takes that time and space to walk down into the offensive zone, frees up more of the forwards to go to the net so that you can have Matty Beniers and Ellie Tolvanen go to the net and both be there for a backdoor play. It also really threw off Darcy Kemper and had him come like way out of his crease. I don't really know what he was doing there, but I just like the fact that that's a play where not only are you manufacturing it on the back end with Matty Beniers, Tolvanen crashing the crease and being there for the backdoor play, but it is also a defenseman having his head up, recognizing that he has that time and space where he can go add pressure to the Kings defense, force them to make a move, open up things for his teammates backdoor that he can then give them the puck to finish off and actually score the goal. It's just smart hockey kind of all the way through for everybody. So I guess I ended up talking about that play anyway.
Well, there you go. No, it's a good breakdown, and I think it's a good pick for favorite moment of this one. And yeah, I guess I probably, if we're both talking about things I saw, maybe I didn't miss a whole lot.
I mean, you didn't. Like I said, there was some fun moments, especially in the second period where, like I said, things broke down and it was just back and forth, and both goalies are making saves, and both teams are just trying to like catch up. And you can tell that it's one of those periods where coaches just hate it because they're just like, no, like this is so far, especially like a team like the Kings, where you're just like, this is so far from the structure and forechecking system that we would like to be running right now. This is bad. But it was a lot of fun in that regard. But there wasn't necessarily some true standout moments from that. It was just kind of that frenetic play.
Yeah. Also, sorry if anyone doesn't like this, but honestly, probably my second favorite moment to watch in this one was the Byfield goal.
Oh,
just
I thought
how
about
incredible
saying
that was.
It was so good. I'm not gonna lie.
You gotta hand it to him. Like that was amazing. One of the best goals I've seen all season.
It really was. He has found his strength. Right? Like he's a big guy, has always had the frame, has needed to get stronger at the NHL level. The way he just used one hand to just completely shut down Shane Wright there and take him out of the play. And then the level of concentration to, with one hand, fight off a defender like that, with the other one be able to knock in the goal, play the puck, get to the crease, and all of that. Initially, I honestly, that was like, if I was ranking top moments from this game unbiased, it is probably that one.
Yeah, agreed.
But the question was specifically for Kraken play. So
exactly. Yep.
There we go. Next super chat from Edward. On one hand, beat LA. On the other hand, I'm a tank. On the other hand, where has this Kraken team been all year? So I ran out of hands there, RJ. I hope you were able to pick up that third one there. I mean, yes, obviously wins in the division, all that kind of stuff, fun stuff. We talked about it. Disaster if you're on board with the tank, or that you're looking for higher draft position for this group. That is definitely bad. But as far as where this team has been all year, RJ, I mean, is it as simple as there was the addition by subtraction at the trade deadline, or is it maybe some of it is just like the coaching staff maybe starting to game plan for specific opponents a little bit more now that the season's just gone on longer, and the whole group feels more comfortable with taking stuff like that on?
Yeah, well, I think, I mean, the where has this team been all year is the hand that I was dealt on this.
Yes.
And I'll answer that, though, with a question to you, because I'm curious, because I think that's a good chunk of this game. There was another game earlier this season where the Kraken hung on for a 1-goal win against the LA Kings. That one was at home, and I know in that third period they were outshot, I think, 19-1, and it felt like, man, they just held on for dear life, snuck away with a win against the LA Kings. How similar or not was this game to that one?
This is very different.
Okay.
Like it did not feel like the Kraken stole it the way that game felt like they stole it. Like this felt very much like the Kraken earned it.
Okay, good. All right, then I think that, because that was going to be one of my potential answers. Like if the Kings were really buzzing in the third, Kraken hung on. Like, well, they did that earlier this season. But no, I think if the Kraken were not going into shell mode and they were hanging with the Kings all third period, then this is something a little bit different than what we'd seen all season. And I think all the things you mentioned, maybe the addition by subtraction, the coaches kind of getting their game plan refined a little bit more, all probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, by my eye test in the third period, the Kings, went out there and they were obviously trying. They were down by 1. You're going to battle for that. The 2 points very much matter for them as far as seeding in the division and trying to get that top spot there. They were able to outshoot the Kraken in that third period, but it was 11-8, and you're playing with the empty net there late. They get shots in those scenarios. I think that's kind of where you see the difference there. But it did feel like the third period, the first half of the third period was probably the most boring that this game was, just because it was the Kings in full Kings mode trying to do their thing. But to the credit of the Kraken, they knew what was coming, and they just knew where to position themselves to just kind of shut it down and not let the Kings get a cycle going at any point. Like partly why the game was so boring was the Kraken they did focus defensively, but I wouldn't say they completely went into the shell, where it was just like, hey, we know what they're going to try to do. We're just going to take it away, and we'll take our 1-goal lead out of here.
Yeah, and judging off the shot count, it seemed like they were definitely more in control than the 19-1 from earlier this year.
Definitely. Just a little bit. And then Chuck with the big super chat here. Really appreciate it, Chuck. I was hoping they could break Kemper's streak of 2-goal games. His stick save on Schwartz was unreal. And of course, Alexiak takes a puck to the face with his sister there. Yes, Jamie Alexiak's sister is in attendance there. They did a lot of good stuff of showcasing her during the broadcast, along with Six Flags Magic Mountain, RJ. Lots of Six Flags on the broadcast.
They continued that after the first, because I saw that in the first period. Did they talk about it more?
Yeah, no, yeah. It was just every time coming back from commercial, it's just more Magic Mountain, and I'm just like, ugh.
I know. I'm sorry for you and I. Yeah, I've seen enough of that.
I called my mom through some of this game, and I was talking to her about it, and she has a season pass. She's just like, oh, maybe I'll go there this weekend. I was like, yeah, okay, have fun. But yeah, no, there was definitely some moments in this one where Kemper looked just as good as Joey Decord. Like it felt like a real true battle of the goalies in this one.
Yeah, it did. And on the Alexiak thing, didn't he just was it like a feature with Piper? Is it something the team put out where I remember the quote? It was like this week. Like, you'd think because I'm so tall that I never have to deal with pucks or sticks up high or anything. But actually, it can get dangerous sometimes. Just felt like that was unfortunately timely on that one. And unfortunately with Penny in the building too, I didn't know that. I did see that
Yeah.
happen though. I had the phone with the game on the bench, and I had just gotten off the ice and saw Alexiak down. I was like, oh no, what happened? So I did
Yeah.
catch that one.
Yeah, no, it was a rough one there to see for sure. We'll see what damage there is tomorrow in Utah from it, right?
Yeah, he
But
didn't come
yeah,
back, right?
I don't believe he did. Let me see if there's a way I can tell. I can't really tell based on ice time. He had 20, 38, and 22
Okay.
shifts. That could
If
be
it's
normal.
if
It could
it's
also be he was out.
if it's iffy at all, he should not come back in this situation. Like, I know you're holding on to a close lead, but you got to know where the season is at. Don't take any risks with that.
Yeah, definitely,
Oh, he did come
definitely.
back, Kylie said.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, good. All right. Well, that
He's
means it's not so bad then.
It wasn't so bad. Yeah. All right. So thank you again, everybody, for all the super chats there. Got a lot of comments here in the main
He
feed.
says didn't even go down the tunnel. Warrior.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hockey player, that's for sure. A lot of comments here to get to. Andrew, Ducks also win best outcome. Let's go. Yeah, Ducks upsetting the Oilers tonight. They just why not go off, have a game? Cutter Gauthier and Mason McTavish. I mean, they've just been on fire lately. If you haven't been paying attention to what they've been doing, which why would you? They have been looking very strong late in the season. General Pancakes best defense all season. I do agree with that. Like again, it felt very matchup specific what they were trying to do in this one, but there was a level of defense and control in the Kraken zone that we are just not accustomed to seeing from this group this season.
Yeah, and I think that's something I mean, Dan always talks about things to build on, right? Late in the season and what you can do. That's got to be something to build on, especially after all the defensive issues this season.
Yeah. Super chat here from Dave. Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you for the super chat. Good game from our boy. This win hurts, though. Thank you, RJ and Dylan, for the awesome deep dive. I'm so excited for part 2. There were so many great questions from the community. Y'all are rad. Thank you. Yes, I've definitely had a fun time on the deep dive, answering everybody's questions. And yes, there's a lot to get to. I'm definitely looking forward to the ones that we have for next week, though.
Yeah, half of everybody's questions. I think we only got halfway through and we hit the
Yeah.
hour mark. So, but that speaks to how great all of you are with your questions. And Dave, we'll get to your question on part 2. It is in that part 2 section of my color-coded Excel spreadsheet. We have not forgotten it.
Yep, definitely. And again, appreciate the super chat and the kind words there from you as well. Hockey Fork, if they keep this win streak going, I really hope they just use their pick this year for a trade. I think that is something for them to consider, RJ, depending on where they fall. I think Ron Francis is kind of in a spot where he's probably open to that if something comes along. Otherwise, I do have an intriguing idea of somebody that they could potentially use it on that I was going to include on the mailbag episode to answer a question. Do I wait for it or do I talk about it now?
Ooh, maybe
This
you
is
could give some hints and people could try and figure it out,
all
but
right.
not say who it is.
The hint would be, and this totally gives it away, but somebody who I think was going to be like on their radar if they were picking higher, but now could potentially fall to them if they're picking lower, may or may not play for the Everett Silvertips.
Ooh,
Or I
okay.
should
Yeah, that
say
might
be
give it
on the
away.
Everett Silvertips right now, not doing so much playing, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. That is interesting. So I think I know where you're going with that. And maybe people can figure that out as well, especially junior hockey fans in the area.
Yeah, definitely. What ended up being the score of that game? It was scoreless last I saw into the third. It is in overtime. They've completed a whole period of overtime. It is still 0-0. Everett,
Wow.
Seattle. Seattle looking to hang on there against Everett. Oh, this series has been so much fun.
Low
Shots are
scoring playoff style games, the theme, I guess.
shots
Tonight.
are right now 49-41 in favor of Seattle. Oh,
Whoa, okay.
that's good stuff. That is good stuff. Looking forward to watching highlights and things from that a little
Yeah.
bit later. That should be good.
Respect to the T-Birds hanging in that series.
Oh, they've been doing a great job of it. Like it was really just kind of last game, right? A couple nights ago where again the penalties just got the better of them, and that's a tough one to overcome when you give up 9 power play opportunities. But all these other games they've been fantastic at just really annoying Everett this is a series that Everett was supposed to in theory just kind of run over them, and they are not going down easy. That is for sure.
Yeah. And B putting some news at the bottom of the chat that I know you're going to like.
Oh,
Yep. If you don't want to scroll
way
down there, that's
down
okay.
there. Yes, Winterhawks, let's go.
I know that's your real rooting interest.
Yes, that is. Again, hey, they're the team that has paid me in the past. Why?
Yep.
I feel okay about being biased for them because of that. And then also from B, further up in chat. Right now, I don't care about tanking. I care about beating the Kings because I hate them. Let's go. Yet another Joey masterclass. And Jeremy, beating the Kings in LA is huge. It is. I will say, again, for whatever reason, RJ, the Kraken have always played well in crypto.com arena.
Yeah, they really have. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you've been there so often. I don't know. I would think you were the good luck charm. You weren't there tonight, of course.
There today.
But our buddy Charles
was. Yep.
So maybe that's what it is. It feels like we've always got some traveling media down there, independent media.
Yep, definitely. That is maybe the magic recipe for them to do well in these games. Kraken Queen with the Joey chance. Love seeing that. Pablo, yes, Decord, baby. Lots of stuff there. Lots of excitement over the game and the win as a whole for a lot of people here in the community. Love seeing all of the excitement. It's just, it's sometimes been a little while between that this year. Happy to have it here. Jason, I called this W over the Kings before this homestand. Disregard that I called the Sharks loss along with it. Will do. Just don't need to think about that at all. Let's see. Wisconsin, I know the tank is the better option, but I have a feeling we're going to win tomorrow too for the sweep. Do you think, RJ, second half of a back-to-back game, can they do it?
Yeah, and I know we've got a super chat here from Zoe also asking about that. Yeah, after tomorrow on the predictions, I think they'll do it. I do not think they are capable of going 0-12 on the second half of back-to-back in a season. This one just really feels like it has to even out. I say that not because of anything with the Kraken specifically, just any NHL team. Has any NHL team gone completely winless on back-to-backs in the season?
I mean, I'm sure they have at some point, right? Like, there's been some bad NHL teams. Like, think about pre-Crosby era Penguins. They must have gone winless.
Yeah,
and
some of the expansion teams,
games a year.
Yeah, it feels really hard to do, especially if you're not like a basement team. I feel like the only teams that would have done it would have been last or second to last in the league. Early it was 91-92 Sharks I'm seeing in chat, which, oh man, legendary bad team there.
That very much checks out. Yeah. No, hockey's one of those sports where when people ask like, "Oh, has this ever happened before?" I just kind of default to yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
It has been. But yeah, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. I just want Grubauer to have a good game. Like, kind of regardless of if they win or not, would love to see another good start from Philip Grubauer. I think it's going to be interesting. They've played Utah very strong so far this season, so I do think that the Kraken have a chance. But I also just feel like they're absolutely cursed on back-to-backs. And I don't know, when I see a team put forth the effort in the first game, the way the Kraken did tonight, and they play so strong against a specific matchup like that, and it's clear that they game planned for their opponent, I'm always then curious to see how, what do you have left then for that next day, especially with the travel and all of that involved in this one. I don't know. I just kind of have a feeling that maybe it doesn't happen.
Well, and I believe they'll have the opportunity to mathematically eliminate Utah from playoff contention.
Okay, so maybe that's a good motivator.
Yeah, should be. I mean, for both teams, really.
Yeah, it should be a good motivator for Utah. I was going to say, it's one where I think it'll be unlike today, where it very much felt like the Kraken went out there and they won the game. I think that it would be one, maybe more of a scenario, and we've seen this before from Utah plenty, where Utah maybe loses the game. Is a little bit more of how it goes storyline wise. And then also another super chat here from Dave. Rock on, RJ. I'm looking forward to your and Dylan's thoughts on the answer to my question next week. Tune in, folks. You won't be disappointed. Again, appreciate the hype man, Dave, coming through yet again.
Oh, yeah. Getting everyone excited for the podcast. I was wondering if that was the right call and everything, but I think this is good. We'll have a week more to think about the questions. Leave everyone wanting a little bit.
Yep, definitely. Lindsay asking if you won, RJ. Now, this is an interesting question, Lindsay, for your beer league game, because I believe, RJ, you were playing against your own team.
I was, yes. So I am on two teams. They happen to, unfortunately, this season be in the same division. So it was a playoff game. Loser is out for the season, a playoff game. And so my team won, and yes, it was the team I was playing on that won. So yes, we did win 7-3. Played a pretty good game. Eliminated my other team, unfortunately. But yes, Wolves got a big win here. So as I see in chat from Nick there, go Wolves.
All right. Yeah, unique scenario there with this
Yes.
one.
My teammates on the other team were giving me a hard time for sure.
I would imagine so. Bryce, gutsy effort. These guys need to learn to win at some point. Sorry. Hashtag team tank. Good stuff there. Pablo, start my new job on Saturday. Congrats, Pablo. Hope you enjoy that. Angela Bug, big sorry to Team Tank, but the smile on Disco's face was so nice to see. Hoping that the performance at the end of the season at least reassures management that Dan and co should stay. I do think that if there was still like kind of doubts for the coaching staff, them finishing strong, that's really where the management is probably going to look at things and be like, okay, let's stay the course with that group. I think that they would do that more so with the coaching staff than maybe with the player group.
Yeah, and I don't think the coaching staff really is being is being evaluated just as a coaching staff. In this particular scenario, I think if Francis is gone, then any new GM is going to bring in their own coaching staff. That's just how it works. And then if Francis stays, which I think is much more likely, then the coaching staff for sure is going to stay. They're not going to let Francis pick a third coach after just picking one last season. Like that is the turnover option. If you're doing that, you're cleaning house.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot more excitement from everybody here. Viren, 5 block shots for Maddie, new single game high. That is certainly an impressive stat from him. Like I said, again, defensively, they really kind of knew what they were doing in this one. Tammy, a clean win is good for morale. A loss is good for draft. The only thing I hate is a tie loss. Well, we were able to avoid that one. And then another super chat here from Dave. Ovi breaking the record. Ovi, super pumped and proud of him. Yeah, that was a really cool moment yesterday to see. Can't wait to talk about it with you on Red Glare over at Patreon on Friday, RJ.
Yeah, so many different layers to that one. I know we're going to have a real fun conversation about that. Still just so impressive what Ovechkin was able to do. And to tie Gretzky in one fewer game. We talked about it a little bit on the Red Glare last week, thinking, will he be able to do it? Could he? And he does.
There is controversy around that now. That I was going to spring upon you on the Red Glare, but it does have to do with the last couple games of Gretzky's career being scoreless. So technically, he got there in fewer games.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like, think about it. Like it's not a bad point. So there is something to that. To which I would say, look at the eras. Like not even close.
Come on. I mean, if you're looking at just impressiveness, era adjusted, there's no question whatsoever.
Yeah. Let's see. So much like just kind of happiness for everything or sadness for the members of Team Tank. Things have definitely turned around on that group. Not going to lie here.
I understand Team Tank, by the way. I definitely have a foot in that game.
No, there's definitely, I do not say that without sympathy. BM fully manifesting the team being cosmically rewarded for our tanking with dignity with a lottery win, no matter how unlikely it is, lol. I mean, that is true. I doubt that they can fall out of a position to move up to first. It's just a matter of how good the odds of that happening are.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think they'll have their shot. And it is probably the difference between 4% or 9% realistically that we're talking about. And so, I mean, all the mathematicians can kind of demonstrate exactly the difference there, but it's going to be a long shot no matter what. Whether they lose out from now on, whether they win out from now on, it's going to be a long shot for first or second. It's just about whether the hockey gods want to reward them.
Yep. Lots of good shout outs for Martin as well in here. Lindsay, you going to give Martin a tip for your wallet? Lol. And Jason, he might have taken a tip. RJ hasn't opened it up yet.
Now, Martin's an honest guy, as I'm now verifying here.
Yes, we can now confirm Martin's an honest, good guy. Matt, Monty first star, Joey third star. I mean, two worthy guys as a part of all this. I mean, Brandon Montour's goal, we haven't really talked about it a lot in this one, just because there's so many other things to kind of talk about. But Brandon Montour, playing a good complete game, getting that goal at 4-on-4. I mean, it was just kind of a beautiful snipe, RJ. Again, you've got a little bit more time and space out there to work with, and he knows how to work with it.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, him and Vince Dunn 4-on-4, they're a lethal combo that you can trot out there on defense, and just the way that they can run things in that shot. How many goals is this for Monty on the season?
I just
had it close to 20, right?
Yeah, it is 17 for Brandon Montour.
Okay. Again, really impressive goal total. Is that near his career high, or did he have like a crazy season in Florida at one
I
point?
just want to see how much ice time he had, RJ. Stop making me
All
do
right, all
this.
right. Sorry, sorry.
It is now his career high. His previous career high was 16. So
Oh, nice. Okay, so hitting a new career high.
yeah, so congrats to Brandon Montour and what he's been able to do here. Yeah, I was just trying to see how many shifts and how much ice time he had in this one, because I do think, like, again, it felt more like a team effort defensively in this one and what they were able to do. But Brandon Montour definitely did his part in all of that as well.
Yeah.
And then we got another super chat here from Dave. Really appreciate all the super chats tonight, Dave. It really means a lot. Team Tank, super frustration flows through the roughness veins career. I know you've been part of Team Tank as well there, Dave, for sure. I know it's frustrating for everybody there. But again, tanking with dignity, maybe there is a some sort of karmic reward for it at the end.
Yeah, there should be. And again, I'll just load out my proposal for gold drafting, in which a win would be a good thing at this time of year.
That is true. That is definitely true. Let's see. Then
Actually,
lots of debate on
speaking of
that.
proposals that you may disagree with, though, and going back to the Montour 4-on-4 goal, if I can just inject some crazy controversy here, I was talking with our friend
Sure.
Kate Sheffy from the Seattle Times, and
Uh-huh.
we were having a conversation about just like our wildest hockey takes that we like know are bad takes, but we will stand by. She
Mhm.
thinks that 4-on-4 goals should be counted as power play goals.
What?
I know, I know. I'll let you take it up with her next game. But everyone in chat, let us know what you think of that idea, and give us some ammo there.
I mean, I will say, like to not to take her side or anything. Wild that you would drop that and then not provide her argument for why that should be the case. But like, because I'm
Well, she's
really
just—it's
trying
like
to
it's
think.
distinct from 5-on-5. It's a different phase of the game, and she just thinks that it should be kind of counted separately. It should not be counted as like even strength.
Then count it as a 4-on-4 goal and make it its own
Yeah.
category. Like, I think you could do that.
You can, and I said that, and like some of the sites and everything do, but she's like on like the basic sites and stats or
Yeah.
whatever, it'll just be counted like even strength or whatever. So
Yeah, well, basic sites still rely on plus minus, so
well, then
I
it
think
turned
there's
into a whole
bigger.
conversation about plus minus too, and fixing that. Then we got the whole tables like bad hockey takes and everything, and that was one that was floated. It was some tweaks to plus minus, but it gave us kind of a red glare podcast idea for the summer. We'll
Yeah,
bring some of the media people on, and they'll share like all their worst like hockey takes that they still like really believe in.
that would be a lot of fun, especially
I had my share
like
of bad
free
ones
agents.
too.
Yeah, free agency day when we're all just stuck in that room waiting for announcements and stuff. That'd be a fun one to kind of go around and get everybody's opinion on. Yeah, the one that we were talking about in Discord that like kind of stats need to kind of get better at is to do some sort of power play goals per 60 minutes of power play time, because you have so many situations where like one team's coming off of penalty or it's 4-on-4, but like it didn't line up. It's not like from the same time. And so you'll have a power play that's counted as a power play for like a team's overall conversion for the game, but it's like 12 seconds long. Are you
Yeah,
reasonably expected to score in that 12 seconds? No, but now it goes on the books as a power play, and it can kind of sway, at least in shorter sample sizes, a team's power play success rate.
yeah, and also I think Fitz brought that up in the first period too on the
He
broadcast,
did,
talking
yeah.
about last game and how those numbers were a bit misleading. I mean, we do that already with goals against average as a stat for goalies, right? Where it's not just
Right.
per goals against per game, it's goals against per 60 minutes. And I feel like power play percentage, that should just kind of be baked in, not just, number of times you scored versus power play. You could easily do that on a per 60 basis, and I think it would tell much more of the story. And I want it net. I think net should be the main play to go to look at that, because if you
I'm
allow
fair
a
with that.
shorthanded goal, yeah, that's -1. Boom.
Right. No, I'm down with that. I could definitely get on board with that for sure. Let's see. Rebecca, I mean, if other teams got a score on Joey, I want to see highlight reel goals. There is something to be said for that. Like, you can, goals against are going to happen. At least make them look like solid goals for the other team, where they either did something impressive or they had like a singularly strong one-man performance like tonight from Quentin Byfield. It doesn't sting as bad when that's the case.
No, it doesn't. I just enjoyed watching that goal. I had fun watching that play, even though it was against the Kraken. I enjoyed that. I was even showing the video to the guys in the locker room before my game. because I was like, hey, did you see the Byfield goal? I wanted to show everyone. It was really cool. So I'll take that. And Vyren, I know there are net power play stats. I just want it to be the standard. Like
Right.
when you talk about, oh, this team has the 25th best power play in the league or whatever, they're not going off the net stats. I want that to be like the generally accepted standard.
Yeah, there are, credit to the stat community out there for like, especially in the last like 10 years, because there was not necessarily stuff like that was at least as easy to find as it is today, back when we were growing up, RJ. Credit to the community, the analytics community, and everything that has sprung up around this sport. Really, in like, I'd say 2015 was the time when it really like came in. Just thinking back to like the conferences, draft conferences and stuff, that was the one where you had people really going to those and trying to make stuff happen there and have this information more readily available, and also get the teams to buy in, because at that point like 3 teams in the league had anybody that was anywhere close to doing this stuff. So really it's been like the last 10 years that a lot of this has come around, and credit to the community for tracking all of that stuff, because for so many people out there it is a labor of love. That is the what it is. You're not necessarily able to monetize it, or it's certainly not going to be enough to be a full-time job for them. So credit to them for just having a love of the numbers and a love of the sport, and tracking all of this stuff and giving us the ability to look up things like net power play ratings and stuff now.
Yeah, well said. And you'll never guess who we have another super chat from.
I was just going to say, another one from Dave. I think that makes it 5. Really appreciate it, Dave. Don't forget to like the stream, everyone that are in this post game are true Kraken fans. Y'all are badass. That is true. We have a pretty great community here. Everybody is fantastic.
Yeah, especially you, Dave, too. I appreciate all the super chats.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. I'm trying to jump down a little bit in chat just to make up some ground, because there's been so much of it right now. Chuck, RJ, you're on a roll right now with your preseason predictions for the end of the season, but you have them getting wins or points in every remaining game, unfortunately, for the draft position.
Oh, no. I don't like being right here in that case. I mean, I'll take the fan appreciation win if they could get it, but that's not good. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the end of season standings are.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that.
Thank you for keeping track of that, by the way.
Yes. Credit to Chuck for keeping track of that all season long. I haven't checked it since like
November.
I haven't either. It's one of those things like with our plus, when we do the over unders and everything, I like to like set it and then forget it and then come back to it, and then like you're seeing it through a whole new like context once the season's over. That's my preferred method doing it. Let's see, the debate around, is it better to be kind of, rooting for the tank versus focusing on trying to build a winning culture for your hockey club? And I would say that I think some good organizations find a way to do both. And I think that that's what you're seeing like right now in San Jose, with the way that they brought in, a young coach with new, fresh ideas. They have the young kids come in there. They're giving them a lot of opportunity to go out there and create and find out what it takes to win in the NHL. They're keeping things light. They're putting good veterans around them that are going to teach them how to win in the NHL. But at the same time, you're making things like your blue line atrocious so that you're going to lose games. You have a shaky goal, net situation that's going to cause you to lose games. You're not investing at all in having any sort of bottom 6 that's going to go out there and help you win games. And so you're finding ways of doing both, and it's a balancing act for the teams down there that have to go through the rebuild, and you have to have those young players start playing in the NHL kind of before you're ready to take that next step. And I think that some teams can find a way to do that, and then there's other teams like Chicago where it looks like Connor Bedard is going to go crazy, just losing and with no help or good support around him.
I think those are the 2 perfect examples of how to do it right, and maybe a way to you could do it better, I think, with Chicago. I mean, it's tough for the Kraken, though, because that was never the plan for them. I mean, the plan was they were supposed to be competitive this season, and they fell way short of that. And now we're talking about tanking. So it's hard because this whole thing wasn't built for that. As for the rest of the season, when you weigh draft position versus building a winning culture, I mean, this might not be the most popular answer. I tend to think in this particular scenario, draft position is more important just for the long-term future of the franchise, given how desperately they need a star player. But they're both good things: better draft position and building a winning culture. It's you could make good arguments for both.
It's one where, yeah, I think from a talent perspective on the team, it's better to tank, right? Like you need to add those talented players to an organization to be successful at the National Hockey League level, right? Like it is just something that is built and baked in to the NHL. It's one where if you're in the spot that like the Kraken are in, I think of like a team like Boston that's in a similar spot this year. You rely on the veteran leadership group that you have. And I know, like that's part of this. This is when you have Jordan Eberle step up and you can have him working with the young guys and showing them how to win and have that positive culture while still being a bad team. Right. Like it's one of those where there are good teams, good organizations find a way to do both. It does not have to be a this or that. And, we'll see if that's the case with the Kraken.
Yep, we'll see.
So that is what I would say to kind of all of that and that whole debate that's kind of going on. Let's see. Wisconsin Kraken fan, to celebrate the win tonight, I'm sharing a cheese curd with my dog. Coda is excited. That's awesome. Good for Coda getting that. Sure they're enjoying it. Yeah, there's the talk about the back-to-backs. Nick with the Let's Go Wolves. So definitely like seeing that in here. Lindsay, how did you choose which team you were playing for?
So I went with the Wolves. Actually, the reason is because my buddy Martin, we are both on the Wolves and our other team Kraken up, and I just go wherever Martin goes. I've done that all season, and Martin usually chooses the Wolves. I think because he was on the Wolves first, so I just go with him. Also, I felt like they just needed me more. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know, but it felt like they needed me more.
Yeah. Matthew, if we're the reason the Bruins get an elite player, I don't know if I could take it. That is true. Let's see. Where should we go next here? There's lots of just like talking about super chats and everybody giving super chats. Appreciate all that. Appreciate seeing that. Be wild take. So how would that alter team's power play percentage? Would a 4-on-4 goal count against your PK? Going back to Kate's idea.
That's what when she said that, like, okay, a power play goal for whom? Like what? I guess the team who scores it. But there's so many. We will follow up on this in the summer when we do that episode, and I'll let her make her case because she did make some better points than I'm like capable of making right now. But she did text me about it during the game today, saying it should have been a power play goal, so I had to bring it up.
Yeah, like I said, I will reserve judgment until I hear the actual person whose take it is, give their reasoning. But yeah. Wisconsin Kraken fan, I still need Dylan to tell me what Wisconsin snack to bring him next season when I come to CPA. RJ wants cheese curds. That's unsurprising. And I will have lots of those. That's a good question. I guess I need to know what Wisconsin snacks there are. I guess that would be a thing. Like, what are the other local stuff? Because I think Wisconsin, I think cheese, like that is the big one. But I'm not really a cheese guy. So yeah, I'd have to think
More
about that. That's true. That is true. Edward, so that goal where Kemper had slid all the way out of the crease, does that count as an empty net goal? That would be a wild one. If the goalie's just not in the crease, it's an empty net goal.
I'll see if we can find a local Seattle media member who would make that argument or claim that.
If not, Edward, you're going to be an ECH member for a day, and you can make the argument you want. I think that would be a lot.
Look at it. The net is empty. What do you want?
The net is empty. There is nobody tending the goal, RJ. That's good. And Wisconsin Kraken fan, I think he was inspecting the ice way out there. He was definitely way out there. I don't know what was going on with him on that one. Let's see. Wisconsin Kraken fan, I think we need to work more on being a cohesive team. Once we start working together, I think we'll see a boost to the defense. I feel like we saw a glimpse of that tonight with our defense. It's really the point that I was trying to make on the deep dive earlier today, is that there are ways of this team elevating their play, being more competitive against good teams in the National Hockey League, playoff teams. Again, are you going to necessarily have like a winning record against playoff teams that have like superstar players? If you're playing, a Florida Panthers group or a Toronto Maple Leafs or whatever, you're probably not. You just don't have the raw firepower to go toe to toe with them each and every night. But instead of going 0-2 or 0-3 if they're in the Central Division. You're maybe going 1-2 or 1-1 over the course of a season with them. And so I do think that makes a big difference to your overall season outlook. And as far as you becoming a playoff team, you being able to get a wild card spot, or in some years even sneaking into the third spot in a division.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot that can be accomplished by playing connected. I know connected is the word that Dan always likes to use, the broadcast uses, by playing connected, especially coming out of your D zone and doing it consistently. And I think that is absolutely the case for the Kraken. When they're doing that, they can play with anybody. It's just a matter of doing it often enough, consistently enough. That's where I'm skeptical about their ability to do that. But if they can do it, because I think the question on the podcast today was just like, well, okay, how do they belong in the conversation with some of the better
Right.
teams? That's how you do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absent a massive, infusion of talent.
Yes. Jason, are there Wisconsin snacks that aren't cheese? And Wisconsin Kraken fan, yes, alcohol is our other thing.
All right,
well,
Dylan.
unfortunately, not a big drinker either, or really a drinker at all. So we'll figure something out here. Let's see. Jason, wouldn't a breakaway goal just be a power play goal then, because you have more players than the defending team? I mean, you don't on the ice as a whole, but where it matters, where the puck is, you certainly do.
Oh, man, you could break down a lot of goals that way.
Yeah, I think we should go way overboard. Like right now, it doesn't feel like it's diverse enough in tracking the different types of goals. I think we need to go to the other extreme, baby. Let's go and let's like really, just you click on the NHL stats page, team stats page, and it's just a wall of all the different ways in which you can score a goal, and you can sort it. And that way, every fan base will find one probably where their team's like top 5, and they can be like, hey, you know what? We might not be good, but we're really good at scoring 4-on-3 breakaway goals that count as power, like double super ultra power play goals.
I think it would help fans kind of figure out more about how their team plays. And in getting dumber, I think you make everybody smarter.
Yeah, there you go. Rebecca, if we're doing hot takes, I'll just say you're right to import cheese curds because Beechers are not it. Ooh. That could be some shots fired up here from what I've learned in my my time being up here.
I'm sorry, I want to be a good Seattleite, but I feel like Wisconsin would do cheese curds better.
Yeah, it's kind of their thing. Zoe, Big Rig got the belt. Very worthy.
Yeah, love to see that.
Yeah,
that's what the belt is for.
Yes.
Take a shot to the face, come back.
Oh yeah. Viren, I've given up on improved draft position and have shifted to hoping Boston, Nashville, etc. make poor choices. It's happened before, right? It definitely does. Like there are definitely teams high up in drafts that make some real interesting moves come draft day.
Yeah. That said, I mean, you're not getting one of those top 4 guys if you're picking outside the top 5.
No, but I think that you will see things like somebody is going to fall in love with Roger McQueen. And I know that there's a lot of people out here in chat that like Roger McQueen. He is not it. He's just not it. But somebody's going to see that 6'5" body and just be like, I'm using the 5th overall pick on him, or I'm using the 6th overall pick on him. And that's going to allow players that I think have a more robust game fall further down into the top 10 than they probably otherwise should if you're just going based off of pure skill level or style of play or what they can actually bring to an NHL game versus just he's tall.
Yeah, and I think depending on who you want outside the top 4, I mean, if you're anywhere in what the range of the Kraken are going to be, there's a pretty good chance you can get whichever guy you're going to want.
Yes, definitely. Let's see. And if not, like be creative. See if somebody's willing to make a move out there. You've got like the 7th overall pick. Maybe Roger McQueen is on the board and somebody out there really values him and you're able to trade that pick for like one of their high end prospects who's maybe closer to NHL ready, which fits your timeline anyway. And you're able to get somebody like that. Like I would be down with a situation like that too.
Yeah, if you're picking 6th or later, I'd say shop that pick, see what you can get.
Definitely. Edward, may the hockey gods bless on lottery day with the super chat there. Definitely. Maybe it makes this whole conversation moot, RJ.
That's true. I mean, we're talking about how do you get 6th, 7th, they're blowing the lottery up, and they just, wouldn't get a top 2 pick anyway, and it all doesn't matter.
Yes, yes. Seattle Nomad asking the question, is there a limit on how many picks can be traded for a player? Could we dump our stockpile of picks in a single move for a player, say Bedard? Is there a threshold a team would bite?
There is not a limit. For someone like Bedard, no, I don't believe there's a threshold where a team would fight. I don't think Chicago would trade him for anything.
Yeah, not unless he's made it clear he will not play for them again. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's when you see players of that level traded is when they just will not do that. Jack Eichel situation being the most recent comparable there. But yeah, generally you don't see NHL teams pull a major junior where they'll trade like 15 picks for one guy because they're loading up because they're hosting the Memorial Cup this year.
Yeah, NHL teams tend to not. The cycles work a little differently in the NHL than in junior.
Yeah, that they do. That they do. But it is fun when we get those in say like the WHL and stuff like that. All right, I think we should close it off here, RJ. Unless you have anything else from this game that you want to talk about before I get to the last Dave super chat of the night.
No, not about the game. I just want to say, while I'm all in this, I just want to say, pucks in deep. Got to get pucks in deep.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. You're official now. We know that that's a legitimate jersey that you're wearing there.
Yep, very very legitimate. It's even got my name on the back if you can see it.
Wow, so official. All right. So official from your game playing against your own team.
Only in the most prestigious leagues can you play against the team you are also on.
Exactly. All right, last comment of the night. It's the last super chat. Another one from Dave. Again, really appreciate it, Dave. One more time, thank you, Dylan, RJ, and chat. You all are wonderful. Have an incredible rest of your night. You as well, Dave. Hope you have a good night. Hope everybody else out here has a fantastic evening as well. Enjoy the Kraken win. Enjoy it early morning tomorrow as well. Start your day off right, remembering how great the Kraken played this evening against the LA Kings. Then be right back here to join us tomorrow as we'll have our Emerald City Hockey postgame live presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall, home of the what burger of the month, RJ?
The Big Smack.
That's right. We'll be right back here doing this again tomorrow after that one against the Utah Hockey Club. So really looking forward to that. This could be, everybody, by the way, the last game ever against the Utah Hockey Club. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's right. I guess they may change their name.
They might be
where are they going now?
no, it's not because of that. It's just because the name might be something else next year. So just try to appreciate that in the moment, everybody, that we might not ever get this opportunity to play the Utah Hockey Club again. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. One more shout out to Queen Anne Beer Hall for all of the support that they've given us over the years. Really appreciate it. And we will see you all tomorrow.